Hi guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast we have Craig Conover from Southern Charm. I was talking to Craig this time for his partnership with Haven, which collaborated with Sewing Down South, his company. So we kicked off the interview with some business talk and some talk about the collaboration and all of that. But then we got into a lot of Southern Charm stuff, which is obviously Southern Charm is in the throes of season 8 right now. There's a lot going on in this show. I'm enjoying it. I know people feel some type of way about this season. I think it's a pretty good season so far. I'm entertained. I know that there's some growing pains there for sure, but I think they're going to find a path forward for Southern Charm. But yeah, we talked about him and Paige and kind of the heightened scrutiny that they're subject to because they're on multiple shows now, what it's like filming all these shows kind of concurrently, and then what he thought about Naomie's appearance on Watch What Happens Live last week, which I thought was great, honestly, and I thought that she was really classy and kind of played down any speculation. So he talked about sort of where they are on the show and then also now, his friendship with Austen and what it's like watching him get so triggered by Madison's just presence on the show. And then also we talked about other things, but I think the thing that I was most curious about, honestly, is this comment that he made to Austen on his trip with Shep this season that's kind of been living at the top of my head because I don't really know what he was alluding to, because you can kind of fill in the blanks, but he said there's sort of more to the story with Shep and Taylor. And I asked Olivia about that last week because she's good friends with Taylor, and she didn't know what he was talking about. And so I asked him about it in this interview, and what he said made sense to me, and it kind of provided a little bit more context for what he was alluding to. He didn't get too specific, but again, he explained sort of why he was so cryptic in that. But anyway, I really do love interviewing Craig. I think that he is really thoughtful in his answers. Most of his words come out with intent, and he thinks about what he's going to say, but he's also forthcoming. He's also pretty honest, and I think that he just makes for a great interview. So anyway, keep listening for my interview with Craig Conover. Tune in to Southern Charm on Thursdays on Bravo. Check out the Sewing Down South and Haven collaboration. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Craig Conover from Southern Charm, and we're talking today because of your partnership with Haven. And I mean, it must be cool to be able to, when you're in season like this, when the show is airing, to really be able to capitalize on that added exposure that you get during these 3 or 4 months. Is that what you feel like you're able to do these days now that you're so deep into the show's run?
I mean, I get where that comes from, and that's a fair take, but really, I'm really working on being in a better place in my life. Like, I started working out again in April. I'm down 20 pounds, which unfortunately was after we filmed Winter House. So it will be a good reminder.
See it on Summer House.
Yeah. It was a little reverse healthier on that one. But, since April, I've really just kind of kicked into gear. You've seen that we had our home goods thing happen, which is incredible. And basically when I met Haven's team, there was just a synergy that made sense. We, especially in the last few years, have done, one of my primary goals was to make products that make your home feel like you're on vacation, build this little haven at your home. And that's exactly what Haven's doing. And the coconut aspect of the rum really transports me right back to the island. So it's kind of fun, and they go together well. So we developed the coconut collection from Haven by Sewing Down South. We've got a coconut scented candle. We've got a throw pillow, and we've got a coaster collection, and it's all this limited edition coconut print because there's coconut water in this rum. So it kind of just all worked together. And
totally,
sharing, we're going to have a big party at the store. And anytime I get to interact with everyone and sharing this journey with, especially the people that rooted for me and felt like the craziest people in the room for a while, now I get to share this with,
Yeah, it's like a victory lap of sorts, and that was sort of my next question, was like, Sewing Down South clearly is so successful. Like, you have the store, you've had all these events all over the country. You have events in the store, and I see it everywhere. I'm sure the online business is really solid and booming. Can you give me some sort of concept of like how successful it is right now? Like, has it surpassed your expectations? Like, not like a monetary way, just
right.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to grasp, but I know it is.
I feel, because I was thinking about this because we have the reunion coming up.
Yeah.
Our favorite day of the year.
Especially you guys.
Yeah. And I was like, honestly, it's gotten so big and so successful that it wouldn't be right to talk about it, if that makes sense. Like it's so good right now that it wouldn't, I have to find a nice way to talk about it, but that's how well it's going. I mean, we have, partnerships with, incredible brands like Rumhaven. And then, we're in Home Goods across the country, which the first launch, sold out in 3 days, which now it's getting to the point where we need to figure out how to produce pillows on such a higher level than I imagined we'd be at, 3 years into the company. So, we, our factory in Beaufort, South Carolina, I think the next move is we're going to purchase that outright because we're getting into bedding, we're getting into sleeping pillows. Like the brand is just building. So, of course, I always give credit to my two partners, Amanda Latifi and Jerry Castellano. It's a fun family business because, they're sister and brother-in-law. I'm basically family. And it's scary. It scares one of my partners, Amanda's like, should we like get out? Like, she's like, she's just always started companies and sold them. And I think this is the first time that she's like, we could have this for the rest of our lives, So.
Yeah. It's like, and I feel like all those problems you just mentioned are good problems to have. It's just about, they're more like practical things, you know what I mean? Like you have the exposure, you have like the marketing's all built in. It's all just about, I mean, that's just, it's just been amazing to watch it grow. And I feel like, again, like, and it was alluded to on this season, which is like, not everyone took you seriously when you first started sharing your sewing. And it's like, I mean, it's the laugh, like you have to be laughing at that now. It's like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you can't do it for this reason, but it's definitely a fun middle finger to, a lot of people. And you'll see that that's one of the big, I know we'll talk about it in a second, but one of the big arguments that happens, this next episode, and hopefully it showed what happened, but Shep tries to take credit for my success. And I'm just like, you're nuts. And so you'll get to see that play out. And, I get a little explosive because it's been an interesting study in kind of psychology to watch the people around me throughout the last few years. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's interesting that he's taking any sort of credit for that, but it's like as a viewer, as somebody who's talked to you guys, like I watch it, I see what you've built, and you've had the same amount of your platform was the same, is the same as so many other people's. And it's not a comparison thing at all, but it's just like, that just shows how much effort and time you've put into building this, that maybe not everyone else has put into building whatever they want to build. Like you have really put in that manpower and that effort, and it's paying off.
Well, thank you. And it's organic. And I think that's why it works because, look, I was pretty down on myself, before Sewing Down South, because I was like, how am I wasting this like amazing platform? And that's just a true statement. It is an amazing platform. And it fortunately, the sewing started as a coping mechanism, to get through my breakup. And I found that like past love of sewing, and it really organically grew. Looking back, maybe it sucked having some of those darker times televised, but the story is what makes Sewing Down South what it is today. So it's, I think I'm in a place now where I don't mind that the last 9 years have been filmed, but it's definitely been a weird road.
Yeah. And you're also at a point now, Craig, where like you've never filmed more. You must feel like you're either filming or having something air all year right now. I mean, that's essentially what's happening for you. What has it been like, sort of ratcheting up those hours of filming and being on 3 different shows right now? Obviously appearing on Summer House, not full-time cast or anything, but like that still requires a lot of your time. What's it been like for you to kind of amp that up, and what's its effect been on you in terms of like your relationship with viewers, or just like your experience with this whole reality TV thing in general?
Yeah. I asked my mom, I was like, what did I used to do when I only had one show to film? She's like, get in trouble. And I was like,
hey,
okay, fair. But look, one day it'll be fun or interesting to sit down with someone and really talk about kind of the mental health side of this and all of that. But I mean, it's been a lot tougher because there's an aspect of filming that I really enjoy. I love seeing the crew members. Like you get to see all the guys, your sound guys, camera guys and girls. Like it's in the produce, like it's fun. Well, the producers, they can be a thorn in your side, but
sure.
It's a really fun family to be a part of. And then to do Winter House this year with my girlfriend, like to do it with Paige while we were dating was really enjoyable. Now,
good,
working with, different companies, different stuff's gonna air. I wasn't used to 24-hour surveillance, and you saw that get me in trouble last year, but you kind of grow from it and learn. And I did recently go to the Hamptons again, and it was a blast. It was really fun. And I feel like I'm just comfortable in it. Now, obviously, when stuff airs, it's a challenge, but dating someone in TV has made that, exponentially better. There's still challenges, but yeah, I've enjoyed it. And it almost feels like, God, people with their, God knows what headline will be made out of this, not by you, but like, I wouldn't mind one day showing more, because there is more of our lives than, what you get to see, especially you get to see Sewing Down South now in Southern Charm. And I think that's great. And like our team's awesome. And I just think I've always kind of been on the side that the more you get to know me, the better. Obviously, some of those dark moments are going to be, a lot more of them are going to come out than if they, if I wasn't on these many shows. But, I do enjoy it at the end of the day.
You take what you can get. Yeah. And I also, it's interesting that you say that it's obviously having a partner in this who understands this, it is kind of helps that and alleviates some of that. But I also feel like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it almost feels like you and Paige do get more scrutiny now that you are a couple. Like, just from paying attention to some of the conversations that happen on social media, like it seems like there are more people that want to find fault in you and like as a couple, just because that's just sort of the nature of like having two people get together. I feel like, and I'm curious if you feel that as well.
Yeah, I kind of chalk it up to human nature. You kind of reach this point where, when you're struggling and, you're on your way up, you have everyone rooting for you, or a lot of people. And then you get to these certain levels where certain people break off, certain people turn, maybe there's an envy side to it, or jealousy, or, holding a mirror up to themselves, whatever it may be. My past with bullying is what allows me to deal with this. I was bullied so horrifically growing up that I had to self-validate in high school. And, being on TV, I'm like, you can't even begin to touch me for what I've already like been through. Now, having a partner, I'm such a protector. And you kind of saw that with the Madison feud, is that, I want to, it does leave you vulnerable, right? Having a girlfriend leaves you vulnerable because they can get to you through her. Fortunately, it's Paige and she knows how to hold her own. Totally. But yeah, at least the people in my life and the people that come to the store and the people that I meet on the streets, and my friends and family are pumped for us. That's what really matters. Yeah. And if you saturate yourself into too much of the negativity, then, it can kind of poison your brain. Right.
Exactly. It gets,
but yeah, totally. It is kind of, it's kind of sad to see a little bit, because you're just like, come on, guys. Like, you have two people that you've seen struggle and they have a really happy relationship. Obviously, we're on TV. There's got to be an entertainment value to it. But it's been interesting.
It just was, to me, a noticeable difference. And it's just like, you kind of have to, again, I'm glad that you guys aren't letting it affect you too much, because it's easier to just laugh, or it's better to just laugh that off. With Paige around kind of the Southern Charm crowd a lot for filming this season, who did you find that she got along with the best, or that she kind of connected with maybe more than you expected her to?
She loved Madison and Catherine. She just, she loved filming with them. She just thought they were fascinating. Totally. It's a different,
their characters.
Yeah, and the Southern Charm crew is vicious. I mean, they're like, and so she would come to these events and just be like, holy crap, no wonder you and Austen are the way you guys are when we film with you on other stuff, because it's kind of the Wild West. And so there's something that happens at the finale that Paige is in the middle of two of them just
Oh,
going after
really?
other people, and she's just, you can tell she's kind of having the time of her life, but also just staying like
She's
completely
a
out of
viewer,
it.
but she's also on camera.
Yeah, she's
Right.
basically like a viewer there. Yeah, like
Right.
yes.
Right. Totally.
And I'm glad to get to show a little bit more of our day to day and our relationship.
Yeah.
Summer House is great, but it's about partying. And I know we drink a ton on Southern Charm too, but it was nice to see a little bit of the day to day, and
Yeah, like
us one
you
on
guys sitting on
one.
that back porch and just hanging out. Like
Yeah.
that does not happen on Summer House. That just we don't like. There's too much else that needs to happen on
Yeah,
that show.
different styles, and I enjoy both, but
Yeah.
I'm glad we're getting to a point now where people can see a little bit more of us, and you also get to see a different side of us that
Hmm.
you can't always show everything that happens on these shows. There's just not enough time in the segment. So,
Absolutely.
um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
been fun.
And when you think about, again, we talked about how much you've been filming for 3 shows, and the person that you've been doing that most with is Austen. And you guys have your podcast together. You do a lot together, and so there's a natural pairing. You've been friends for a long time, but like, I'm wondering if, again, from your perspective, being on these different shows, and there are different scenarios, but Austen really kind of has, a lot of people have kind of been hating on him for how he's been treating some of the girls, especially from Summer House, and it kind of gets carried over to the different shows, I feel like. And I'm wondering if you feel like that you ever get grouped in with him in that capacity. Like, do you feel like you get criticized just for being associated with Austen sometimes, or do you feel like you're able to separate that? I'm curious where you are mentally with that and your friendship with Austen.
I mean, so Austen deserved backlash last summer for kind of in the capacity of what had happened. Now, was that
Right.
full story really ever explained? And no. And he also, because in his head, what he was doing wasn't wrong, even though people can't understand that. In his head, it wasn't. He had a really hard time with the fallout and trying to explain himself. He knows what he
Yeah.
did was wrong, but and unfortunately, it seems like he can't catch a break. And yes, he can be very self-destructive and do dumb stuff, but we all can. I hope people start to give him a little more of a chance, because at the end of the day, should trust my judgment, to an extent. I wouldn't be going on tour with him. I could easily find another podcast partner, but
Right. You're vouching for him as a person,
yeah,
right?
I
Exactly.
vouch for him as a person. Look, TV's not easy, and there's different approaches to filming, and not everyone can see it. And so, yes, in person, people usually have a great time with Austen. We just did an
Yeah.
appearance at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. We bartended for everyone, and it was a blast. But no, I mean, yeah, I haven't suffered because of
That's
that.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what's it
I mean,
like?
we
I mean,
hear
again,
I stick up for him a lot.
I think you
People
do
really,
too.
yeah, they like come, recently, I think people are starting to view us as sitcom characters, because they'll come up and they'll be like, we like you, but we don't like him. And like to him, I'll be like, and I almost like shatter their minds, and because I'm like, why would you say that to someone? Like it happened this weekend. I was like, no, seriously, why did you think it was okay to come up and tell someone that you don't like them or call them evil? And they're like, well, it's just TV, it's a show. And I was like, no, you just called him evil. And I was like, we've had some interesting run-ins.
Totally.
But like I said, that's
I
this
believe that.
crazy world one day maybe I'll write about in 10 years from now.
I think you should. And again, like it's kind of wild as a viewer to watch this happen. And again, I know this happened a while ago, but it is watching Austen get like so triggered just by like Madison's mere presence this season. Like even just walking into a party it's tough. It's just tough. It's honestly like I have no grasp for it because it's that's how it seems. Like she just shows up and he's like, he kind of melts down a little bit. What's it like as one of his best friends to watch that kind of stuff happen? And is it more nuanced than perhaps we're seeing on the show?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be it's going to be intensified from what you're seeing, but we've worked on it,
Yeah.
for a while. She's good. Look, and I say this in a nice way. Madison's good at what she does, and Madison really likes to mess with Austen, and she's really good at it. Yeah, I mean, that's something we're working on with him. I think he just wants her out of his life. Unfortunately,
you're on
Charleston,
a show together, though,
it just doesn't happen. And
yeah,
no, I see it. I see it with y'all, and I've definitely talked to him. I've been like,
I'm glad we're working on it.
Yeah, we're working on it because he really doesn't. He doesn't want to care, and he doesn't necessarily care. But she's a formidable opponent.
For sure. Oh yeah. I mean, there's no arguing with that at all. Like she, like you said, she's a good reality star. She really is, and she knows what it takes, what makes good TV. Again, another big thing for you this season has been the return of Naomie, and I think that it seems like where you guys are now is different from where you are at least when you guys filmed. Like watching her on Watch What Happens Live, it seems like I don't know, she had a lot of like a pretty classy responses. She was very supportive of your relationship, dismissed any idea of her wanting to get back with you or whatever. Did you watch that, or what do you make of? Obviously, you guys are going to continue to be asked about it because it's such a big plot point this season. But are you guys in a better place with it? Are you still sort of like a little bit tender about it?
No. I mean, we're fine. Look, it's kind of a pressure cooker of a. Now, look, we don't have a relationship, but we're civil. I think I didn't watch it, but I think, which I would have done the same thing if I was, I think there's some stuff that comes up in the season, which is going to be a little embarrassing. But she was trying to, she was doing what she thought she was supposed to kind of come back. And, I mean, we're civil, but we don't talk or anything, and we haven't in a really long time, but Charleston's a small place. So obviously if you run into each other, you want to be okay. But I think what you'll see some explosive moments coming up in the next few weeks was, traveling with your ex isn't normal, and it's just not. And that's kind of the take that I have on it, where I'm like, we're broken up for a reason, and so there's just some, it gets to a point, even when I heard her like talk or say my name, I would just be like, why the are we here? Like this doesn't make any sense anymore, because you guys are putting me in a situation. So yes, filming was a lot. I was actually really happy when, her and Whitney started, because I just felt like it took the attention. I was glad that she found someone.
There was another kind of player in this to kind of shield you from it. Yeah.
So, I really I feel like I handled everything well, and it's not my kind of personality to be mean. I wanted to be as nice as possible, but it just got to a point where I had to be like, look, this isn't okay. Like, we're not a thing anymore. We were nice, we're always going to be welcoming, but we live two different lives now.
So I interviewed Olivia last week, and I think that she's been a really solid addition, just in terms of being game to jump into it and what have you. And I asked her, because she's really good friends with Taylor, and I asked her about the comment that you made to Austen on the boys trip that you guys had, about like there being more to the situation with Taylor and Shep. Can you elaborate on that at all? Because she said she didn't know you're alluding to, or was that just sort of, what did you mean by that?
Look, at the beginning of Shep and Taylor's relationship, like there was things that happened, right, that weren't necessarily filmed or ever aired. So when I made that comment, it wasn't necessarily about recent stuff or things that Taylor didn't know about. It was that the viewer didn't know about. Right. That they had worked through some stuff. I mean, you even heard me bring it up on the reunion last year, that there is infidelity in the foundation of their relationship. And it's very, very, very difficult to ever heal that stuff, especially if it after they dealt with that stuff, then there was like the one on the reunion. So my point was just that there had been times that they had to have those tough discussions more than once, right? And so I was just saying, of course, like when you come on a trip with us, she's going to be worried because it's happened. Even one time before is too many. So I think, I was trying to drive a point home. I wasn't trying to like reveal anything. And if anything, I was just trying to think of a way that I could say it that would make sense to the viewer.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good answer. And lastly, Craig, I mean, as someone who's been on the show since the beginning, I'm curious what you make of sort of where the show is now, like what the cast looks like, what the connections are like. How do you feel about the current state of Southern Charm? Because it's we have a lot of original people. We have a good amount of newbies. It's a pretty good mix, but I'm wondering what you think about it.
No, it's a great question. And I think I can say this without getting in trouble. I think that shows are becoming increasingly more difficult to make. The bar just gets set higher and higher, kind of the thirst of people watching. I think it's been hard for people to figure out what they want. I think that Charleston is an incredibly wild place with, enough drama for 5 shows, let alone season 8. And I think it's hard to make those decisions on what to follow sometimes. I personally am pumped that they showed me in Shep and Austen's trip to Charlotte, because it showed us having fun and it showed us laughing. And I think if you let it, like, we're gonna fight, like
right. Yeah, you guys are.
Austen and I both won most dramatic in high school. Shep is Shep. Like, it's gonna happen. I don't know what the answer is. I because now we have so many people to focus on, which is great. Like I don't have a problem with it. I think if it was a 2-hour show, it might be even better, because then cuts wouldn't have to happen. We need a little more time to really, to show them. I think it's not that we don't have enough. I think it's that we have too much, and it's just hard to kind of condense.
To balance it all. I agree with that. I think some of the new additions are really great. I think they're, again, like, I think Olivia is like bringing it, but you're right. Like some of the solo scenes even are just like little 10-second flashbacks or whatever. And it's kind of whatever. But I think, again, I think that you guys you're bringing it, you're figuring out the path forward. And I think that you're going to find the right path forward for Southern Charm. Because I think there's so many people that still love this show,
Well, and there's like so much more going on in a lot of the individual people's lives. Like myself, like, have the whole Sewing Down South family now, and like they're a whole cast of characters,
totally.
Like, Leva's got her businesses, Austin's got his like beer stuff, and so there's just a lot more. If they wanted to go deeper, there's some really funny people they could.
Where's the Craig's version of Vanderpump Rules? But where's that going to have with the Sewing Down South team? I mean, come on.
Someone said that today, actually. I think someone I ran into on the plane said
really?
That. Yeah. Look, we have the people for it. I think one day, I think when Paige and I start to settle down a little more, we'd love it. But I think the boys doing something together could be really fun too. We've been talking about that. So maybe there might be a trip that me and Austen and Shep are taking soon for a little while that we might just decide to film, but we'll see.
I will say, being at your and Austin's live podcast event in New York, like, what was that, in March or April or something?
Yeah.
The crowd energy in that room was next level. So like there is a definite hunger for the boys of Southern Charm being together in some capacity. So
yeah. So no, I love you came to that. That was fun. We're gonna do that again starting, I think, in October or September.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, no, things are going well, and
good.
Like I said, check out the Coconut Collection. It's by Rumhaven, or from Rumhaven by Sewing Down South. We'll send you some stuff. I'll send you a box of stuff.
Love it.
And it's really great. And it's just been fun meeting, brands like Rumhaven that we have this synergy, and it's exciting. And now that we have the flagship store, we can really share it with everyone. So,
I'm sure it's going to sell out. Like, you guys are doing bonkers business. It's like incredible. And you should be proud of all this. You really should.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, just trying to stay balanced, because it gets, you get this anxiety that the wheels are going to fall off, but I think that's just kind of natural.
I think so too. Yeah, for sure. Well, Craig, thanks so much for being so generous with your time, and congrats on this collaboration. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Of course. Thanks, Gibson. It's nice seeing you.
All right. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In the Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.